It's a bit cable ropey, as you can hear.
Riders, welcome back to the channel. So today we have on test the Trek Rail 7. So the biggest changes to the Trek for 2020 is the Bosch Performance Line CX motor is significantly smaller and half the weight. This has allowed them to drop the bottom bracket, shorten the chainstay by 27 millimeters. The old Powerfly LT9 was 475. I believe this is 447, depending on if you have the minnow link in the high or low position. 29-inch wheels. Other big benefit is a 625 watt-hour battery. That is a massive improvement when you get to range. You don't get the range anxiety with the 500. They've mounted the magnet, which used to be on your spoke. If you ever lost that, you were completely stuffed, onto the rotor mount, and the sensors tucked away nicely back in here. This has allowed them to then run all the cabling internal of the chainstay, so you don't have any cables coming out near your tyre or anywhere here where it could get caught up and ripped off. The 2020 Trek Rail Line tested had a recommended retail price of $7,999. On the fork, we have a RockShox Yarry with debonair spring, motion control RC dampener. On the rear, we have a RockShox Deluxe 230 x 57.5mm. For the shifter, we have Shimano SLX 12-speed, and the cassette Shimano SLX. It does have the Shimano XT derailleur. For the brakes, we have the Shimano NT 4-piston hydraulics and 203mm rotors. The other big improvement is motor decoupling. Compared to the older version of this motor, it was a pig. Anyone who rode it above 25 kilometers an hour would say that. This new one decouples brilliantly. Very, very similar to the Bros. Descending on the Trek rail, it's good fun.
Pretty playful, I don't mind it. Shorter chainstay definitely helped. Oh, I lost all the speed.
Very, very similar geometry to the Trek Slash. 150 on the rear, 160 up front. With the motor, they've obviously made it smaller, dropped the bottom bracket, shorter chainstay, and this thing rails corners. You can really smash into them, roll the bike over, and it just flies around. It's good fun. The only one thing that I will say is when I jumped on this, for me it did have a shorter reach. That's 465 millimeters compared to a lot of other bikes. My Mega Tower is 490. So when I first jumped on it, it felt short. I did get used to that.
There's a tree.
Trek have done a fantastic job with the new rail. I really enjoyed how light and playful the Trek was. It's one of the bikes you can seriously roll over, rail some corners. I've had a lot of fun riding this bike. Handling is extremely similar to the Norco Sight VLT 2019. So range on the Trek rail. I only had this bike for one day. We were riding Kangas, which is a steep fire road climb straight into downhill runs. We did 30 to 35 kilometers sitting in e-MTB, so climbing on the Trek rail. The Bosch Performance Line CX motor packs a fair bit of punch. The normal chain ring, the 75 Newton meters of torque. I was feeling tour most of the day, and it really enjoys a low to medium cadence range. It doesn't enjoy when you're really high in the cadence range. It actually cuts all your power and has a beep if you sort of push it past its maximum cadence.
See that? You get a high pitch beep and it stops the assistance. So you've got to keep in its cadence range.
I didn't have any issues with the front wheel sort of lifting too much with the shorter chainstay. It climbed really, really well.
The first climb on the rail, it's quite a punchy motor, accelerates really fast.
So one really good feature I like with the Trek is the battery. You just got a key on the side to take the battery out. One of the reasons I like that is I like to put my bike in a stand, but these bikes being 23, 24 kilos, they stretch the limits of what stands are supposed to do. So by taking a good portion of weight out of the frame, it's a little bit easier to work with and lift. What I didn't like about the Trek rail, the 7 comes with a 130mm dropper post, size large. I believe you should have a minimum 150. The Bosch display is prone to damage even if you have a small crash, or if you just want to turn your bike upside down, you're more likely to scratch or crack it. Last point, I didn't enjoy either the cable rattle or the battery was just a little bit loose, but it was quite a noisy bike to ride. So if you'd like to demo this bike, I would highly recommend going out to one of your shops or Trek dealers. They have a great demo network. This demo was from Bicycle Express in Adelaide, South Australia. I want to thank them very much for the rental for one day. If you like the content, please hit like and subscribe. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below.